Okay, so we are going to do page 30, Slope-Intercept form, part 1 today. Slope-Intercept form, part 1. Okay, so we've talked about slope. We found slope. We know that slope is rise over run, or change in y over change in x. We know it's a fraction or a whole number. It's never a mixed number. It's never a decimal. So slope-intercept form involves both of these. So we're going to talk slope. And remember that slope is the change in y over the change in x, or it's rise over run, right? It's a fraction, right? Never a decimal, never a mixed number. Sometimes it's improper, sometimes it's a whole number, right? We have all of these rules that go with it. So we're going to do slope, which you already are familiar with. And then we're going to do intercept, and this is the y-intercept. Slope-intercept form involves the slope and the y-intercept. And the y-intercept is the point where the line crosses the y-axis. So y-intercept, the y-axis, and intercept means to cross. So we're going to have this slope, we're going to have this line, right, with a slope. It's going to be steep or less steep, and it's going to cross the y-intercept, the y-axis, at one specific point. So there is this equation that we're going to be dealing with. It's called slope-intercept form. And the slope-intercept form formula is y equals mx plus b. Where m, whatever is the coefficient of x, is the slope. It's the coefficient of x. And if it's plus or minus, include that value, that plus or minus. The b is the y-intercept. It's the integer. It's the plus or minus number, right? All right, I'm going to give you 4 equations, and you are going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. So if I give you y equals 1/3 x plus 10, the slope and the intercept. So the slope is 1/3 and the y-intercept is 10. Let's try another one. Y equals 3x minus 4. So the slope is the coefficient of x, which is 3, but remember, slope must be a fraction. So how do you make 3 into a fraction? 3 over 1. And your intercept is -4. Let's try another one. Y equals 1/2 x. So your slope is your coefficient of x, which is 1/2. And your b, your y-intercept, is the integer. It's the plus or minus number. What's being added or subtracted to this problem? Nothing. What number represents nothing? 0. Let's try this one. Y equals x plus 2. So the m is your coefficient of x, and your b is your plus or minus your integer. So if I look, what number touches, what's the coefficient of x? How many x's are there? What's the coefficient? 1, it's hiding. So what's the fraction? 1/1. And what's the intercept? What's being added or subtracted? Plus 2. All right, now we're going to practice graphing this. So you're going to need 2 graphs. So we'll get those passed out to you. And you're going to glue them down towards the bottom. And we're going to practice graphing these on here. We're going to do 2 on each. I'm going to use 2 different colors so that you can see it. If you don't have 2 different colors, share with someone at your table or use a highlighter for one of them. So this green one right here, y equals 1/3 x, that says plus 10. Let's change it just so that it's a little bit easier. Let's make it y equals 1/3 x plus 1. Okay? So where we start is our intercept. We're going to go in alphabetical order. So intercept is 1, slope is 2. So my intercept, I changed it to 10, or to 1. From 10, I changed it to 1. So I'm going to find the y-axis. I like to highlight the y-axis because that's where I'm going to start. The y-axis is where I start. That's my y-intercept. So I'm going to go up 1 and put a dot. And then from that intercept, I'm going to do my slope, which is up 1/3. I want to do it again, up 1/3. I want to fill it in, so instead of up 1/3, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do the opposite. Instead of going up and to the right, I'm going to go down and backwards, down and backwards, and then I connect them. Your line should go all the way through the graph. This, because I changed it, remember, 10 was too big for my graph. This, the graph of that equation is matching right here. All right, let's do the next one. So we start at the intercept, alphabetical order, do your b first, which is -4. And the slope from that point is 3/1. So go up 3, 2, 3/1. Do it again. 1, 2, 3/1. 1, 2, 3/1. And we're just putting them on the same graph because I'm saving some space. All right, let's try this red one. Remember, I'm going to start on the y-intercept. So I'm going to highlight vertical. I start on my y-intercept. That's where I begin with my b value. My b value, my intercept, my y-intercept in this equation is 0. And my slope is 1/2. Up 1/2. Up 1/2. Up 1/2. Down 1, backward 2. Down 1, backward 2. Down 1, backward 2. Let's try this blue one. So we have plus 2 is where we start. My integer starts at 2, right? And my slope is 1, 1. So up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And down and backward, down and backward. And again, we're just doing these on the same graph to save some space. I'm going to give you another one to practice. Let's see, put it on this one again. Try to do this one. Y equals, uh-oh, I ran out of ink on that. Y equals, let's do negative 3/4 x plus 5. So my slope is negative 3 over 4, and my intercept is 5. So I start at 5, and from that point I'm going to do negative 3 over 4. So down 3 over 4, down 3 over 4. I went off a little bit just so that we could see what it looked like. If you have a negative slope, assign the negative to either the numerator or the denominator. Do not give it to both. You can only give the negative to numerator or denominator. So it's negative 3 over 4 or positive 3, negative 4.